Like, look at all the dirt in there.
It's melting everything around it.
This is their 10.2-inch G13 unit.
And here we are in the shop with my 2008 Toyota Tundra, which normally isn't a good thing because that means something needs to be repaired, and that doesn't happen very often with this truck. It's been incredibly reliable. It's got 347,000 kilometers on it, well, like 250,000 miles, we'll say, which isn't super high mileage for these because these are very robust, very reliable trucks. However, there are issues. This is a 16-year-old truck, and as you just heard as I pulled it in the shop here, it's got a really bad squeak in the front end, so we need to figure out what's going on there. It does have a check engine light on, which has been on for quite a long time. I think I know what's going on there, and it might not be a terrible fix. And when we get the truck up on the lift, you'll see its age. I mean, it's 16 years of use in Ontario with lots of exposure to road salt. We've got to make a decision here whether we keep this truck around, we keep it going for another few years, or do we say that, you know what, it's served us well, maybe it's time to move on to something new. Before diving any deeper on the Tundra, we'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Factor. If you're anything like us, you're busy extracting rusty bolts or scouring Facebook Marketplace for your next project car, which doesn't leave much time for meal planning. Factor helps you eat fresh, gourmet chef-designed and dietitian-approved meals that taste great while catering to your specific dietary needs. Personally, I'm a big protein guy, and Factor has me covered with their Protein Plus meal options. My favorite is the pulled chicken taco bowl. Give it a try and let me know what you think. But if you're looking to cut calories or eat a keto or vegan diet, Factor has you covered there too. Or there's always the chef's choice meals if you just want something fresh and tasty that you don't have to think too much about. Choose from any of Factor's 35 weekly fresh, never frozen, ready-to-eat meals delivered to your door, knowing that you're fueling your body with delicious and nutritious food. Head to factor75.com or use the link below and use code 50SpeedAcademy for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code 50SpeedAcademy for 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video, and thanks to any of you who take advantage of this offer because it's a great way to support our channel. First thing we're going to try to get to the bottom of is this squeak in the front end, if it's like a ball joint or in the steering rack maybe. But interesting. When the car's weighted and on the ground and you turn the wheel back and forth, that's when it's squeakiest, although sometimes it also squeaks just going over bumps with no steering input. So we just supported the rear of the truck with a post jack, and we're going to use another post jack on the suspension on both sides and see if we can replicate the squeaking. Nothing happening here. The driver's side here, not hearing anything yet. Next up, we're going to just put a pry bar on some of these ball joints and see if we find anything or hear anything. And on this guy here. Whoa. Oh boy. Whoa. We got a doozy here, fellas. We got a doozy. That is way too much play in there. Let's just check the other one, but that seems like an absurd amount of play to me.
Yeah, no play.
Nothing there. So we did replace these lower arms a couple of years ago when we did that big refresh on the truck. This is an aftermarket arm, not an OEM arm, so not terribly surprised that the ball joint's gone bad on it. Well, I can move that ball joint a lot just by hand. You can actually kind of hear it squeaking there. So let's Grimsmo knife it up here, fellas, and cut this boot open and see what we find inside.
These boots are actually quite robust, DP.
Yeah, so I'm surprised. I can get this in there. There she goes. Like, look at all the dirt in there. Yeah, like the grease is gone and it's replaced by Canadian sawdust, it looks like, in there. So here's the new aftermarket. Oh yeah, there it goes. And yeah,
does it feel good?
It feels like a ball joint should feel. And we did price out OEM ones because we know the OEM ball joint will last a lot longer, but they're absurdly expensive. Like 1,000 Canadian dollars by the time you pay taxes, where, you know, these are a couple $100. Well, there's a discussion to be had about rust here a little later, but as you can see, a new control arm is in place. I think I said let's put the wheels on and test it right away, Peter, but we got more work to do here. So we will test it by the end of this episode, so you will find out if this fixed it or not. One thing that we've noticed with the truck recently is that the brake pedal has basically, it's like lost bite. There's no good bite in these pads left. And as you'll see when I pull them out here, there's quite a bit of pad material left, but I think they've just aged out where the compound just doesn't have any good bite left. We were trying to push the pistons back in the caliper to put the new pads in, and one of the pistons is seized. Moose, who's hiding in the background here, is like, well, is there any tapering on the pads? Because that'll tell you if a piston is seized, you dum-dum. I looked, and if you look here, you can see how one pad has the same thickness across it, and the other one is tapered quite badly. And that means I have to apologize to PowerStop now for saying that the pad was the problem, because clearly it was a seized caliper piston. As you can see, the new calipers are in. We would have gone with the PowerStops again, but these we could get in a couple of hours through WorldPack versus having to order the PowerStop stuff. Not red anymore, they're this bright silver, which will turn to brown rust in about a week because of the amount of salt we put on the roads
Exactly
here.
how it works, yep.
And for brake pads, we've gone with Hawk's Super Duty. And I've actually run these on the truck once before when we did like the very initial build on this truck, and I really like these pads a lot. They have a lot of initial bite, and they're designed to take a lot of heat, so they're really good for towing. Like if you're doing long downhill descents and you're putting a ton of heat into your brakes, this is really what these Super Duty pads are designed for. That completes the brake job, and this is a good reminder, if you live in an environment like ours, you need to service your brakes every year. I don't think we've touched the brakes for a couple of years, maybe even 3 years, and everything was corroded and seized, as you saw. The same in the rear. We just serviced the rear as well. So once a year, give your brakes a good service. All right, as for that check engine light that we mentioned off the top, that is caused something related to the EVAP system. It's this EVAP canister up here that gets water in it, and then the water freezes in the winter, expands and cracks stuff inside, and it's no longer going to function the way it should. To replace that, you either buy a new one at great expense, they're like 600 US, maybe 1,000 Canadian, or you go on eBay and you buy one off of a wrecked truck out of Florida.
DP, that thing looks mint.
Doesn't it? It looks incredible, and it was, I think, 150 US. To remove this, there's little 10 mils that go into the canister on each side, and they are very rusty, so pretty sure they're just gonna snap off, which is why I put this giant half-inch drive wrench on here, or ratchet I should say. Is that actually turning?
No, that can't be.
I felt like it was actually turning.
Actually, I know what's happening, DP. It's
spinning
turning
the brass.
in
There's
the
a brass
actual fitting.
nutcert, I guess it would be called, or
Of course, that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
See, we
Yeah.
thought this would be easy, but of course it won't be. So we have once again entered the land of rusts and rusty bolts. So I've got the bolt buster out here in hopes of getting out all the larger 12 mil bolts that hold this whole canister up in place. And now what I'm gonna do is come in with a little bit of the CRC freeze off and shock it, which it should free it up a little bit. You can see it's slowly working its way loose. It's just, there's a lot of rust on the top of it, which is the unfortunate part.
probably not gonna look that bad.
It's on the ground now. Oh. Look at this thing. Holy smokes. Look at this. Oh, so much rust. So much pain. Why didn't you order this stuff from Florida, DP? You should have known.
I should have asked them to
You
include the
should have
bracket,
known. So now I'm heating these bolts here, and they should just extract themselves from the plastic in a second, I hope. Holy smokes. There, see? And now it pulls itself out. You can see that is the issue that we have. Let's see what happens here. Kind of hoping they snap, as they will. Look at the amount of rust in here. This sucker was never gonna come out. We're gonna vapor hone all this, right,
right,
DP?
yeah,
Clean it
make it
up,
new again, yeah.
make it like new.
You should 3D scan it and get billet ones.
That's
made.
right,
Yeah,
that's
what we
right.
should do.
That's what we need for the EVAP canister here.
That new used EVAP canister is in place. It's bolted up. We'll obviously clear the code, and we'll have to report back to you in the future about whether or not this fixed it. Looking at the condition of the underside of the truck, as you guys will know if you've been following this truck's journey, we did have it dry ice blasted and honey sealed by our friends at Honey Seal in Oakville. Some of that is still here, and some of it I think has either been like blasted off just from road debris and road use. If you're wondering what the white stuff is, that's literally salt. Further up on the underside of the truck here, you can see the honey seal coating has actually survived really well up on the flat areas underneath the bed. But along the sides here, you can see it's mostly gone. And having spoken to Jake at Honey Seal about it, he did say with older, rustier vehicles like this, you do have to come back in for more frequent touch-ups because the sealant doesn't adhere as well to a rusty surface like this as it would a new surface. We'll get Jake to explain that in more detail because I'm actually gonna take the truck back to him to give it a touch-up. With work done underneath, we're gonna lower the truck now and see if it squeaks as the weight of the truck goes down on the suspension.
DP, it's quiet.
That's just tires, so.
That's right. No noise.
Yeah, so it was that ball joint. No big surprise there, so that is a win. The one real sore spot on the exterior of this truck is the rear tailgate, and as you can see, it is rusted out quite badly along the bottom edge here. Rather than like trying to save this, which I think would be very difficult to do, why not look at replacing the whole tailgate? An OEM one, very expensive, but an aftermarket one, surprisingly cheap. When we started trying to figure out what to do with the tailgate, we jumped online and found you can buy these aftermarket tailgates paint matched to your truck for, what was it, Pete, like 450 US? Something like
yeah.
that? And this is by far the easiest and most affordable way to replace the tailgate.
Question is whether the paint match
is good or not.
Yeah. That's really the marker here. But from a price standpoint, it is unbeatable. When you think, you know, $200 to basically paint anything these days.
Yeah.
So you're buying a tailgate that's painted for that kind of money. So win-win.
Well, there you have it. The new tailgate is in, and pretty straightforward job, really, other than having to heat up the bolts to get the hinges off. Well, I think it's actually pretty much a perfect match, isn't it? Well, we do have one last cosmetic thing we want to do on the Tundra, and that is repaint this side step. However, when we went to remove it, I already snapped one of the bolts off, and they're all so rusty that I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this off without breaking more bolts. Instead of fighting with that, we're just gonna do this the Ghetto Fabulous way. We're just gonna like scuff it, spray bomb it.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what the best way to prep this surface is. We aren't body guys, so certainly post in the comments and let me know if I'm doing this wrong, but I'm gonna use basically a 3M Roloc bristle disc on this and prep this. Usually we would remove this, but because we've glued this on once and it's all broken again, we're just gonna leave it and then we'll mask it afterwards. Everything's scuffed. I just used some of this pre-painting prep spray on here to, I guess, remove all the wax, oil, and dirt and give this VHT wrinkled black a chance to stick here. So let's see what happens here.
I think that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start down here and you'll see once we get this up to temperature, it's going to start wrinkling pretty quickly. It's almost like magic. Look at it. Wow, and the match is pretty perfect, dude.
For the pictures, yeah.
Holy, look at it. Is it perfect? Certainly no, but once you get a little bit of dirt on here, you're never gonna notice. Really, the question is how long will this last? But that's what these videos are for. We'll see, we'll follow up in 6 months. So this upgrade has been a long time coming for me personally. When I drive this truck and look over at the head unit here, which is a CarPlay unit, however, it is a universal one. The way it's inset and the plastic trim does block part of the view, and I found it's just kind of cumbersome and clunky to reach over and kind of, you know, adjust the audio and everything because it's not a flat, beautiful screen such as this unit right here. This is from Desada. This is their 10.2 inch G13 unit, which is equipped with Android 13, and it is going to be what I think is a massive upgrade for this vehicle. Not only does the head unit come with what looks like 2 bags full of cables and accessories, it comes with these nice little pry tools, so you kind of have everything ready to go. And we did shoot a video on how to properly remove this out of the Tundra, which I will link. It's actually quite simple. Once you get this piece off, you basically just have to pop this whole area out here. Install is complete. Now we take off the protective coating and PP. Was this not worth the upgrade? Look at this.
That's a lot more screen, for
That's
sure.
a ton of screen. It's gonna make this so much better. And even with the reverse camera, let me flick that on for you guys. Now, this camera is like 2000 spec, so probably like a less than 720p, but it works, and now we have a much bigger screen versus this little guy. So this is certainly worth it. And as I said, now I think, you know, when we're cruising down the road and stuff, this is just gonna look so much better.
That fancy new head unit in there, this truck is looking as good as it ever has, and I don't think we actually gave you like a rundown of what was done to it in the previous build series that we did on it. This is an 08, but this is not an 08 front end, obviously. This is actually 2018 and up Toyota Sequoia LED headlights. These are OEM units that we paid a pretty penny for. I think it was like 1,800 bucks for the headlights. Plus you have to get this little filler panel, and we changed out the grille to this TRD style grille. It's all in that previous build series. So if you want to see more on how we did this or the LED taillights that we put in, that is all in that series. So you can go back and check that out if you want more information on it. All right, we're here at Honey Seal with our buddy Jake, who has breathed new life into the old Tundra here. As you explained to me before when we spoke on the phone, you've kind of revised your process a bit on rusty old trucks like this.
Especially the Ontario trucks, yeah, the rusted old trucks. If you guys remember the last video, it was pretty rusted. We already have that trajectory down, so we try to curb that. But what we've done now is we actually bring in acids. We use lasers as well to try to get rid of this. And one of the big things that we fight with, yeah, lasers, they're so much fun actually. But the oil that's in the pores, so if you bring me an old rusted oil vehicle, that's where we fight a little bit more. New vehicles, no issues, like the stuff lasts easy 10 years. But when we've already got that rust started, it's hard to mitigate that issue.
Right.
So yeah, what we've done is brought in acids, lasers, priming, painting, and then our waxes. But yeah, that's about it. Trying to just suffocate as much as we possibly can.
Well, it certainly looks like new under here again, but of course, the newer the car that comes to you, the better able you're going to be able to like preserve it long term, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If we get new substrate, the clean areas, it's going to last so much longer.
Well, there you go, guys. That is a wrap on another Tundra update, and we will follow up with you in, say, 6 months or so and let you know if we've decided to get rid of it, or maybe we'll let you know that it's just too good and I can't let go of it. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next one.